You've been listening to President Trump in Washington speaking to Hispanic business owners. He took the opportunity to tout the tax overhaul and how it's working in this country, deregulation, his recent trade policy. He told that crowd we've created nearly 3 million jobs since Election Day. Today we have more Hispanic Americans working than ever before in history. He said, breaking records. As president, I'm committed to unleashing the full potential of the Latino community. Specifically addressing immigration, the president said, we're trying to have a DACA victory for everybody, and the Democrats are nowhere to be found. And all of this is happening just moments after the Attorney General Jeff Sessions in California announced a lawsuit against the state of California over its sanctuary city policies. Guy Benson is on the couch. What an afternoon. So what did you think of what you heard here from the president, first of all?
Well, the juxtaposition of Sessions' event right before it and then the president was interesting. That was basically just an economic boilerplate stump speech from the president, touting deregulation and tax reform. He did so very well. He related it specifically to the audience. And when he turned to immigration, we all on the couch here listening said, all right, here we go. It'll be fascinating to hear how he addresses it in light of what Sessions announced today, perhaps, and he sort of shied away from that and instead blamed the Democrats for the failure of a DACA compromise, which is a fair criticism, but it's also a bipartisan failure. But, you know, he's a politician, so he's going to
It's fascinating when you think about what we just heard from the Attorney General, Kennedy. I will use every power I have to invalidate California's sanctuary city laws.
And also California is a sanctuary state. The problem is we don't know exactly what that means. It's almost like the term collusion. You know, this is a word that a lot of people throw around, but it really doesn't have a distinct legal definition. And California doesn't even know what it means. But what the Attorney General is doing, I think, is a little bit of distraction from some of the bad news he's had within his own party. Because when you have Trey Gowdy and Jim Jordan appealing to the Attorney General and others to appoint a second special counsel for some of the failure on Jeff Sessions' part to manage the Department of Justice, he has to make a bold move. And a move like this also speaks to that base that is stuck with the president. Immigration is one of the most important policies that drives their passion. And, you know, I think, again, to your point, Guy, there's a little bit of politicking here.
Just I want to get in this breaking news here from the United States Citizen and Immigration Services. I should say the Department of Homeland Security is just putting out this press release saying that in compliance with court injunctions, the USCIS is accepting and adjudicating DACA requests for renewal as they are submitted. That just coming into our newsroom. Lisa?
Well, I think even beyond this, just for a moment, if I can, I think what President Trump did in talking about this is the rebirth of the American dream is exactly what he should be doing, whether he's talking to minority voters or whoever he's talking to in the United States. Even among Hispanics, the issues that they care about the most are the same as every other American's. It's jobs, it's the economy. Am I better off today than I was before? And I think President Trump hit the nail on the head, largely speaking, on that issue, talking about the tax cut law, what that means for every American, the average family of four, regardless of what race you are, how it's going to benefit you. And so I think that President Trump should continue that message while talking to all Americans heading into the midterms and 2020.
Well, and you heard him saying Elaine, that's Elaine Chou in the audience, who's the Secretary of Transportation. I would think, because she speaks a little bit later, also kind of calling out the point that through his infrastructure proposed legislation, transportation is heavily impacted by that. If you're going to shore up your infrastructure in America, that creates more jobs too. So I don't think it's an accident that he would call her out and then she's speaking later. And then also there's a town hall meeting later today at the Latino Coalition. Women in business, of course, we know they make up such a huge percentage of small business. So he is sort of pitching forward, if you will, with this idea of where the jobs will come, who's creating them. That's a very strong message for any president, but particularly the president who just also coupled that with tax cuts.
Well, especially when you're seeing a booming economy, you're seeing promise within the economy, it doing better. I mean, so that's a strong message for Republicans heading into the midterm elections and also for President Trump as he looks ahead at 2020.
The president wrapping up his remarks there in Washington. Meanwhile, he is pushing back against reports of chaos in the West Wing after Chief Economic Advisor Gary Cohn resigns. Whether recent staff turnover will help or hurt the president's agenda. Plus, Chelsea Clinton calling Ivanka Trump fair game for criticism.